Hi, this is Oliver, K6OLI, and I am going to walk you through how to fill out a resource request for LAX Northeast. Now, the LAX Northeast resource request is available in our core documents download folder. Here I have an example from a recent exercise. Let's go through it step by step. As you notice here in line number 3, it says via amateur radio. So let's start there. You have an option here to select exercise or real event, like most of our forms do. In this case, we'll select exercise. Incident name. For that recent exercise, we would fill in the exercise name. That was the Angel Ball Complex. And the date you can fill in by hitting Control and colon, or you can manually fill it in. In this case, the date was 06/29/2024. You can fill in the current time by hitting Control, Shift, and colon, or you can manually adjust the time. In this case, we'll just go with the current time. The requester name is the name of the emergency manager who usually hands you the resource request. Let's make up a name here. Say Dr. No. The agency would be your hospital. In this case, we're using a made-up hospital. I'll call that Arlington, and it's perfectly okay to use the tactical call sign for that hospital, or you can call it Arlington Hospital. But in this case, we'll just do Arlington. The position, make a correction. The position in this case could be emergency manager. You'll have to ask if you don't know, and then always fill in a phone number. For our exercises, we use the Hollywood standard for made-up phone numbers. So it could be 213, whatever the area code is, and always 555, and then whatever 4-digit number you want. I'll just use 9988 just as an example. Email, you can fill in an email if you want to, but you don't have to necessarily. The facility code is usually a 3-digit letter assignment plus a number that will be given to you by your emergency manager or contact at the hospital. Let's make one up for this exercise. Let's say this is the first one. We'll do ARL for Arlington. And then we're doing 001 because it's our first resource request. Again, this is given to you by the hospital. Describe the mission and tasks. Again, this is something that will be filled out by a hospital contact. Let's say maintain operations for next operational period. The next thing you want to do is take a quick look at the request and identify what it is. In this case, you can see we're looking for registered nurses, practitioners. So these are people. So double check that in this field here, the correct type of the request is selected. We can see this is equipment. Clearly this isn't right. So we click on this arrow here and we select personnel. That'll be different if there were supplies in here or equipment or other. You can select that, but here we're looking for personnel. Next, we're going to block 7. And at this point, you want to make sure that you select yes, because every one of these conditions need to be met before you're able to send this properly to the MAC, to the Medical Alert Center. So make sure that your emergency manager has checked these, because if any of them are no, the MAC will likely reject this request. Next, we fill in the command management. That can be the same person as your emergency manager, but doesn't necessarily have to be. So it could be, let's say, the chief of logistics for that facility. In our case, let's say that's the same person, Dr. No. And the phone number will be the same, 213 the Hollywood Standard 555, and then 9988. Again, this could be different, but that's information you should be provided with by your facility. That concludes the official part of the resource request. For radio operator use, we would like you to fill in the information here. That makes it easier for the radio operators at the Medical Alert Center to track the messages. In this case, it's K6OLI. The latitude, I'll just make one up, 34.1234. And let's say we're longitude minus 118, minus because we're in the Western Hemisphere. And let's go with 4321, just make that up for this example. You can look up the what three words of these locations and add that here. You don't have to. And the current date and time, you can fill that in as well, but this should be filled in for you automatically. Let's just leave it as it is right now. The nice thing about the suggested file name here, this is populated by the information you provided in the fields in block 3, 2A, and 2B. So one thing you can do here is right mouse click on this field here and then copy this file name, and it fills it out in the LAX Northeast standard nomenclature. As you can see, here's the year, the month, the date of the resource request, the hour, and the minutes. So the time, RR stands for resource request. Here's the facility, and here is the call sign that you filled in up here. You can see if this changes if I, let's say, change this to W2JCL, hit enter, then that information would be updated here as well. So let's go back to K6OLI. All right, you've got this done. It still says inject 1, which was part of this, right? It said equipment. Obviously, those were people. So you made those adjustments. Now you need to save it. Click on Save As. We highly recommend that you use Save As. And then here you can see this is in my Downloads folder. Let's click on Downloads. This was the original inject, but we don't want to save it there necessarily. We highly recommend that everybody start a folder for every incident. How do we do that? We right mouse click on this field. We then go to New, Folder. In this case, it was the 5th Saturday exercise. Let's call it 2024 June Angel Ball Complex exercise. And now you can have all your information in one folder. Next, we want to rename this because obviously we don't want to use inject number 1 equipment. We can click on paste, and here's the information filled in. If you have multiple resource requests, you could add RR1 or RR2, etc. here, or you can add it at the end here, right? If you wanted to, you could use the assigned number here. Let's say ARL-001, and that might make it easier for you to track what you've already sent and what you have not sent. But in this case, we'll just go with this because we know what the date and the time is, and this is going to be chronological. Then click on Save, and now we have that information in our Downloads folder. So if we wanted to open this again, we can either go here through the quick open, or we could click on Open. We can go to Downloads. We can go to our Angel Fall Complex exercise, and here's our file. So if you wanted to send this via chat or via WinLink, we can do that very easily. We can double check the date and time modified, and we can double check the size, make sure it's a decent size. So at this point, we can click Open. It's already open, so it's not going to open again, but it's a very nice way of doing this. If you need to make changes to any of this, just change what you need to, and when you click on Save As, update the timestamp. I think that's the easiest way of tracking everything. And then note on your ICS 214 when you've sent the file and when you've received confirmation. If you have questions about any of these fields, you can always go to the instructions, and that gives you additional information about what is going on here. All right. With that, This is Oliver, K6OLI. Thank you for your attention, and we'll catch you on the next video.